Hello, happy Sunday. Short message for you today, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the way that we talk about our work. And I think this is an appropriate message on Sunday. For warning that I will be talking a little bit more about my own story when it comes to talking about the work that I do and how that relates to the core of why I do what I do, which really is rooted in my own faith. So um, there's this really interesting conversation I've been having with myself and with others for a number of years. And it really comes down to the challenge I see with social impact work and the challenge I see with uplifting people in general, which is that there is a very natural and I think very good from its source resistance to wanting to talk about the good that we do in the world, right? There's a sort of feeling we have when we look at others who talk a lot about all the good things that they do, that somehow they're charlatans, right? That they're doing it for the wrong reasons. And I think we're skeptical of those people. And I think there's a lot of good reason for that. As we look out into the world right now, there's so much grandstanding in that way, so much virtue signaling in a way that feels really, really corrosive and toxic, and actually is used as a weapon against other people when they aren't posting the type of virtuous things online that someone else is. Telling you a little bit more about my own story. When I was younger, something that bothered me, but that happened often, which I will admit to you here, is that I was often called cocky or arrogant. And I think at times that was a true statement. It was a true attribution toward me. But there were also other times where I don't know that it would be fair to characterize that as true. Because I think one thing that was often misunderstood about me, and maybe remains misunderstood about me, is the source of what I think a lot of people perceive as confidence, in me. So I want to tell you a quick story about this, just so that you have an understanding of sort of how I think about this, and then I want to leave you with a few thoughts at the end as you think about what it makes sense to promote in the world. So, as a kid, I always believed in myself in a lot of ways, and I think that comes from growing up in an environment with parents who deeply believed in me and in what I was capable of. I grew up with two incredible parents. My mom, to me, is the manifestation of the wind. She believes that no height is too high to be reached, no mountain peak is too far away. She is the epitome of idea creation. The freedom that she has with her mind, the lightness that she carries within herself, is something that I feel blessed to have been around throughout my life. So that's my mom, right? She believes that you should dream big, right? You can reach anything, you can achieve anything. On the flip side, I grew up with my dad, and my dad, if my mom is the wind, my dad is the waves. He is the force that crashed against the rocks of the shore for thousands of years to produce the beaches. He is persistent. He is meticulous. He is someone who I look up to for his applied knowledge and his work ethic in such a deeply respectful way. And these two lessons, the wind and the waves, this idea that you can achieve anything, you can reach any height, as long as you are willing to put in the consistent, determined, and disciplined work to make it happen. That is the sort of world view that I grew up under and that I embodied and tried to embody in my own life. And so in a lot of ways, with those two beliefs in place, this idea that you can achieve anything, and if you work for, as long as you work for it, I always had this belief that mega change, mega things were possible in the world by me in a lot of ways. As I think about that, though, I also always believed, because I believe in that framework, right, that mega things are possible in the world by anyone, that anyone has the ability to produce incredible change, incredible creations, incredible outcomes that alter the world as we see it. And often that what we are suffering from as a society is a lack of vision for what we could do, a lack of understanding about how powerful we really are. When I think about this concept, right, and then I think about this topic around like how do we talk about what we do, how do we showcase the work that we do, especially when that work is rooted in social good, there's a really challenging social conflict that I see, right? We are okay with people speaking at length, ad nauseum, about how much money they have, about the houses they have, the cars they drive, about all the material things that they're able to produce. We're okay with businesses being built by people that seemingly don't have any social good attached to them. But the moment that it becomes about social good, right? The moment that it becomes about doing good things, there's this tendency, this feeling like we shouldn't really be talking about that work. And when it comes to social enterprise, right, or sustaining that work, there's this notion that it shouldn't be something that can support people's lives or raise their own financial quality of life in a profound way. And I've always found that to be really challenging. I found it to be challenging that in many ways our nonprofit sector is powered by donations from a for-profit sector, which is devoid in so many ways of direct social impact intention. And we're okay with that. We're okay with people building mega empires often, or we have been, that make a ton of money as long as they funnel some of that into these nonprofit things, which are supposed to be, low income and in many ways makes them unsustainable, right? So that's one topic that I have in mind. But I wanted to just touch in real quick on this idea of like, how do we talk about our work? How do we talk about what we've done? What's the best way to do that? And I was having a conversation about this with my wife, and I was saying to her, there are these two Bible verses that both come to mind for me. And I think really at their core, at its core, my sort of spiritual beginnings, my spiritual life is the root of why I do what I do in the first place. But I want to read these two verses to you because they're two different sides of the coin, right? So one of these verses is known. It's Matthew 6:3. So these are both in Matthew that I'm going to pull from. And it says, "So when you give to the needy, do not sound a trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do in the synagogue and the street, to be honored by men. Truly, I tell you, they already have their reward. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing," which is this idea, as Jesus is speaking, about giving in silence, giving and letting your givings be the reward in and of itself. He goes on to say, so that your giving may be in secret, and your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. Okay, so I'm speaking again here. I don't know what your faith is as you watch this, but this is my faith. This is where I come from. And so I'm giving you these two perspectives, which I think in many ways are also rooted in our society. This idea that good deeds should not be broadcast for all to see. When I watch a video of a good deed and I see someone who's filming themselves doing a good thing, I definitely do have a hesitation and a pause about cheering that on, because I want to know, what's the intention behind you filming this? You're sharing this with the entire world. Was it before the person you're serving, or was it for your own glorification? So that's one side of it. The second side of it, though, the second verse, right, which also comes from Matthew, it's actually a little bit before that one, says, "You're the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." Right? So this is the flip side, which says, as you do good things, right, as you shine this brilliant, beautiful, good light, this goodness, which comes from helping others, loving others, caring for others when they're in need, you do want to shine that. You want to share that with others, right? And so I was talking about this with my wife, and I was talking about the challenge that I face, right, as a person who runs a for-profit social good consulting firm. My goal is to create things that improve quality of life. I want to talk about the quality of life improvements that we've seen. I want to talk about that good work, but I also don't want to come off as this inauthentic person who's just talking about how great I am all the time. And I was telling her, for me, the root of all of this comes down to the origin of my faith, which is this belief, or part of part of which comes from this belief that we've been made in the image of a creator, and with that, we have been made powerfully, right? And whether you believe in that or not, there's this idea that human beings are a powerful creature, a powerful species, right? That we have the ability to do so many things, so much harm and so much good, that one person can recognize their power and transform the world is something that I have come to really, truly embrace. I am inspired by the stories of people like Martin Luther King or Gandhi or Nelson Mandela, who found within themselves the better part of themselves. I'm inspired by the woman who lifts a car off of her child, right? Whenever, when the moment of crisis occurs, people finding within themselves abilities that they didn't know that they had. And that is sort of the frame that I come from, which I think at times has been perceived as a cockiness or an arrogance, when in reality it is to say, this power doesn't actually come from me even, but it is gifted to me, and I do have it, and I won't deny that I have these abilities. In fact, I believe that you have these incredible abilities as well. Anyway, so I was talking to my wife about this, and she made a really great point. She said, I think that with both these things, what it really comes down to is embodiment. How do you embody these ideas? How do you live them out rather than sharing them everywhere that you go? How can people see that light shine when they look at you directly, rather than necessarily trying to amplify it through a post here or there, right? And so I guess I leave that for you to think about. Is how do we talk about social good in a way where it perpetuates and amplifies more social good? For me, the message that I want to bring to you is that I truly believe that you are powerful beyond all measure. I believe that you as an individual, you the person watching, who I've never met, have the ability to change the world. I believe that you could make the difference in whether someone's life, someone is able to overcome a challenge in their life, to reach their peak or not. I believe so wholeheartedly in the power of one person reaching out to someone else, that that's sort of what I want to share with you. But I am always struggling with the way to do that as authentically as possible. So maybe for you to ponder is like, what's the way that we should be talking about social impact in the world? What's the way that we should be talking about good works? What's the way that we can do that to amplify this effect as much as possible, where one person can see someone else do something, can see someone else do something, can see someone else do something, and they can turn around and do that as well, versus a reality where someone does something good, no one hears about it, no one knows about it, and the person who received it doesn't necessarily pass it forward either. Right? Would love to get your thoughts and your answers on that. How do you share goodness in the world? One way that comes to mind is talking about the work of other people, which is one way that I think is really incredible and profound. But I'm always open to hearing more about that as well. So that's my topic for today. Looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow. All right, I'll talk to you then.